Beaux Lyles Lamotte. Welcome back to Sagittarian Matters.
I'm overjoyed to be here yet again discussing one of my favorite shows, The Traitors.
The Traitors. We made a huge gaffe last time, or I did. I was like, wait, who got banished from the castle first?
Dorinda.
Oh, Dorinda.
Oh,
No,
she got murdered first. Wells
got banished first.
Yeah.
Wells's name, I was like, last episode, I was like, now how did Wells' name come up? There's no way to know. Bob brought up Wells' name.
Yep.
Bob the drag queen.
He sure did.
And it was kind of just a shot in the dark, supposedly, but Bob brought up Wells' name.
Yeah. I think he heard it earlier in the castle, and he also did a little bit of a fatal flaw, which is he talked first, which, in my opinion, if you're at the round table and you're not 100% sure someone's a traitor, you do not talk first. So he started it out and kind of came out guns a-blazing with Wells, but it did pan out for him as a traitor to have Wells be banished.
Yeah. So episode 2 begins. Everyone is at breakfast. Boston Rob uses his line again. Revenge is a dish best served cold, which doesn't make any sense in this context because he's still hot and bothered about the fact that nobody threw themselves or their friends under the bus for him, a stranger who's very good at playing games. There's pickles for breakfast. The lesbian bachelorette comes in with Chrishell. What's the lesbian bachelorette's name?
Gabby.
Gabby and Chrishell come in for breakfast. Gabby's like, yum, pickles for breakfast. And but wait, Wells is still here at this point in episode 2. Kind of blended episodes.
Was the first person. I think where right now Rob is not. Remember, he's in a cage. It's Go-Go Boy Cage 1.
He's in the Go-Go Boy cage.
Yeah.
So sorry.
So right now Rob isn't at the breakfast table, and Wells was banished the first. So then this is when they find out that Dorinda has been murdered.
Oh my God. And then Bob does his shock face.
Oh.
And then starts crying.
I know. It's too much. It's Danielle's too much. The tears. Bob's too much. I love Bob. I love everything that Bob stands for. I don't think that's the right move on this television program.
For him to do that face where his eyes pop and his mouth, just jaw drops.
Too much. It's too much. You need to be looking at what other faithfuls, how they are responding, and just mimic that. Because if you do anything too over the top, it's going to look suspicious because not all these people know you and know your personality.
This happens across the show, across seasons and countries, is the traitors themselves will do a performative weeping at the breakfast table. And then everyone's like, that is so weird.
It doesn't read. It doesn't read. Every time people do it, it looks sus. Somebody's going to pick up on it and it's not a good idea.
No. So, I mean, what happens? So Alan throws Dorinda's frame on the floor. Somebody picks it up and is like, that's my friend.
Yeah, I think it's Dorinda. I mean, Dorinda picks up every housewife. Spoiler alert, more housewives go home. And Dolores. Dolores is picking up everyone's picture like, that's my friend, not a housewife. You know, she's very much like protect the housewives, as in the protect the family Italian New Jersey housewife way to go about it. So it's very much on brand for Dolores.
What else happens in episode 2?
Okay, so then they go on that mission, and the mission is to go into the forest where there's boys in go-go boy cages, and it's Wes from the challenge, quote unquote, the most winningest person there, which he has been on TV probably the most. He also has won the most things, as we talked about last week, as far as prizes go. Probably not the most amount of money. That would go to Tony, but that's how it goes. And then it is Derek from Big Brother, the cop who's also a winner of Big Brother. And then it's Boston Rob. And the Go-Go Boy cages work. Well, how they work is Alan sends everybody out into the woods to gather no, not gunpowder. It's what are those, like little tiny coins or something? They get like some level of coins that they put into like a little weighted thing in front of the go-go boy cages, and then it lowers them down. The whole point is that you can lower the person down and open the cage. Why? I don't know. There's no motivation besides that, except for the guys all have a shield to give to one player. So there's
every time they're putting
shields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever they're putting money in there, they're like, "Hi, my name's Gabby, and I'm putting a quarter in your slot." And they're like, "Hi, nice to meet you, Gabby."
Yes.
And then some of them, like Rob's like, "I don't freaking care. You guys can introduce yourselves to me all day long. I don't care."
Yeah, he does. He just wants to get down, and he'll pick whoever he wants to give the shield to. And like, you see people kind of like being like, "Hey, reward me. Hey, help me." Kind of like, "My name is this." Somebody asked one of the guys up there from TikTok, which I thought was pretty funny.
Well, what's weird is so they just did the same challenge on the UK, and they also did the clown challenge, which we'll talk about in a little bit from the next episode. Mm-hmm. But in the UK, it was the 3 cages of the people that had taken themselves off train cars, and only 2 of them were coming back. So it was a race to get down 2 of the 3. And so it actually made a difference which 2 got the coins or whatever first in their slot.
Well, weirdly, I know they banked money also. I can't remember how much money they banked for this. They did end up getting all 3 men out. But I just thought, like, interestingly enough, I don't know why the fuck you would want Boston Rob lowered. I would never put money in his thing. Also, do you have to put any money in there? Like, what if you didn't lower any of those dudes?
That would have been great. I'm sure production would have intervened if there was like...
I know, you're right. I mean, I thought maybe Derek would definitely come down because there's 2 other big brother, Danielle and Brittany. He's got those people in his pocket in that way. But I don't see any other Survivor player wanting Boston Robin, obviously. And the challenge guy is kind of the lone challenge guy. So, Wes.
Yeah, I don't... It's just, it was weird to me to see a version with stakes, which was the UK version, and then to see this version with no stakes. It's like each of these like competitive like white alpha men is going to come down here and fucking kill you all.
Yeah.
So here's a race for you to try and curry their favor.
Right.
Before that happens.
Yeah. I just to clarify, I did think about this. There wasn't a banishment on the first episode. The first episode is picking the traitors and a murder. So actually, episode 2 is where we're going to see the first quote unquote banishment. And so spoiler alert, it's Wells, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So we've got Wells through. So everyone comes in, and Boston Rob, I mean, there's something about him. There's some kind of paternal thing where he just waltzes into the castle once he's down, and he's coming in like a Don. He is coming in like, I own this game. I'm the daddy. I'm here to see what everyone's up to so I can kill everyone.
1,000%. And that's kind of how he walks into every room. Whether, I mean, if it's any reality TV show, competition, or even just like, meet and greet or whatever, that's his vibe. His vibe is, I own this, and I'm like the grandfather of, Survivor or whatever. He really does think that way.
So who gets the shields from these gentlemen? And they give them to them secretly, right?
They give it to them secretly, and the shields go to... So this is later on. So this is after they have, I think it's right before or right after the round table. They don't give it to them right away. So the shields go to... Rob gives his shield to Tony. Big surprise. This is a real man times here. Wes gives his shield to Jeremy.
These are both Survivor people that are getting shields so far.
Yeah, Tony and Jeremy, both Survivor people. And Derek gives his shield to Dylan Efron. So...
the traitor hunter of our season so far.
He's also just very annoying to me.
I mean,
I don't like a goody 2 shoes goody boy. Ugh, it is the most like milk toast. I don't want to watch him. I don't want to listen to him. It just gives me Peter vibes all over again, who I didn't like either. I know he has to be there for like the archetypes of the show. You need some like Captain America kind of vibe to be there, but it's just like the antithesis of the kind of reality show person I want to see.
Yeah. But do you need the Captain America there? Do you?
I mean, they do, because they want to have some hero vibe, you know? He can be like the hero for the faithfuls. I mean, the fact that hopefully they'll be murdering him soon, but nobody is saying his name, and he's actually been pretty vocal too. So I don't know why they're not piling on him. I think he gives off this, like, pretty boy situation, which he could be a traitor. He'd be a great traitor if he would have been picked.
I mean, that's the thing on other seasons where you see someone who's like too good at being a traitor hunter. Some people are like, well, how do you know?
Yeah.
And then they're like, that must mean they're a traitor.
Yeah.
So right now what's happening is Danielle sees Rob in the castle and she's scared of him. She's like, I got to murder this guy immediately, because she doesn't yet know that he's a traitor. She won't find out until either the end of this episode or the beginning of next. So she has a conversation with Boston Rob, who's just trying to get information from everybody, see everyone's demeanor. And Danielle, who is a traitor, is like, I got to get rid of him. And she also brings, God, who is the guy she brings into her confidence? Is it Dylan? I wrote, Danielle brings dumb guy into her confidence, tries to pin a blonde woman. She takes
probably Derek. I mean, her and Derek were on either the same season of Big Brother or like a subsequent sort of season of Big Brother. And he definitely, they were kind of talking about Danielle, the third Big Brother contestant, as a possible traitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And a lot of people are still saying that Bob the drag queen is a faithful. So people are like talking a lot about Bob the drag queen being a faithful at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What else happens this episode? Kind of nothing.
I think like Danielle really starts planting seeds. I mean, she's, I think, playing pretty actively. The first time Wells comes up is actually from Jeremy and Bob. So Jeremy and Bob are talking and they start saying Wells. I think mostly because his, like, cold, kind of aloof demeanor. Obviously, Bob knows that Wells is a faithful, but he's going on with that, and then really starts to kind of like fan the flames of the Wells thing later on at the round table.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I also want to say is that I know this is a thing with modern reality TV shows, and it's very apparent on the Netflix ones like Selling Sunset, etc. Even probably Love is Blind, honestly, but it's the AI music. I can't handle it.
The music is so bad. But also on the Survivor franchise, all of them, it's covers. It's like a lot of covers of songs.
I don't know that to be true. Really?
Yes, like some of them are like real songs. Some of them are just like weird reality shows, but some of them are full on cover songs. I can't think of just like a little bit like I mean, this is not one, but just imagine just like a weird like reality show kind of, I don't know if is AI or like studio musicians being like, the more you ignore me, the closer I get. But just like a really moody kind of version of any of these songs.
Exactly. And it's just like played now. It's actually like we used to not have any music with lyrics in the Housewives show, and now, especially on Beverly Hills, they are going hard on the AI music, and it'll be two women fighting, being like, I'm gonna turn my back on you because you're a bitch. It's like, it's too much. It's too much. And this is just another like case in point for this AI music. They just kind of typed in moody Miss Murder Mystery Party in a whatever, like, Lana Del Rey style, and then bing, here it comes.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard for me to listen to. It kind of takes away from the scene for me. I wish it just was instrumental music.
I also wish it was just instrumental music. So it just seemed like an incredible movie, which is kind of how the show first felt.
Yeah. Yes.
Before I started seeing the castle in other countries' seasons.
Yes. 1,000,000%.
So Bob brings up, I don't have any other real notes from the episode itself, but then I know at the round table, Bob brings up Wells, and then Robin kind of goes for it because she heard Wells in a conversation where he said he thought it was stupid for the traitors to murder Dorinda. Is that what they were talking about?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people were like, okay, if you murder a housewife, it might look like another housewife was a traitor. Because as we know from last season of American Traitors, one of the greatest traitors of all time, Phaedra Parks, who I love, worship at the altar of Phaedra Parks. She was an incredible fucking traitor. So I think that people are kind of there's also 4 housewives. There's also 4 Survivor people. So, it could be, there's the odds or might be in their favor for it to be a housewife again. So So they're also kind of pointing fingers that way. But yeah, Bob really comes out swinging. And at the round table, I said earlier, I don't think it's great to speak first. And you can see that this is happening a lot. We saw that in the very first mission. No one wants to get off the boat to go sit. No one wants to talk at nobody wants to speak first. They want to just kind of like listen. People are good game players. They want to listen and gather information. If you're out here being like, Wells, he's a traitor. Here's why. Here's this, you're like the leader and you're getting people riled up. You're not doing a lot of the listening. You're kind of trying to direct the convo. And that's the big difference between the strategic players from, franchises like Survivor or Big Brother, etc., and just the general reality and then randos. And, Bob, Drag Race is an incredible competition show, but the thing is, the bigger your personality, also like the more like you stand out is good, right? And that's not how it works on things like Survivor. You don't want to stand out, actually. You want to just kind of keep your nose down, get your right alliances, and try to eke through until you can get to a certain point, and then you can kind of stand out. So it's interesting to see, like, there's not one Survivor person that talks at all, or Big Brother person. Nobody's talking. Danielle, that's why it's a little bit weird, because Danielle does a lot of over emoting, things like that. And I'm just like, that's not your playbook. Like, kind of stay in your lane a little bit, because it looks fake, But I think that was a misstep on Bob's part.
You know who would be incredible on this show is Katya.
Oh my God.
I think that Katya,
yeah,
she knows how to blend into the background.
I think so too. Also, she knows how to be like, I don't care as long as it's not me, which is a very Survivor term. It's also a challenge term, I heard. So it's just like, I'll vote for anybody that's like Sandra. I'll vote for anybody that's not me. I don't give a shit. That's how you get voting blocks. You want numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Katya would be a good person to kind of like bulk the numbers up. She's not really gonna rock the boat.
Well, I also think like there's something about Katya that like everybody wants to be in her confidence. And so I feel like, because like you can see she's like a little picky who she talks to, who she gets close to. And so I think she would make a lot of different people feel special. So it would make a lot of different people trust her.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And also think she wasn't a traitor because there's nothing in her that's like politicking or like glad handing.
Right.
So Wells is exiled.
Wells is exiled. It was 4 votes for Robin.
Mm-hmm.
4 for Ivar, 5 votes Wells. The rest of the people voted, in my opinion, in a personal way. You said my name, I'm voting for you, which is not how you vote. People,
unless you're a traitor and you're trying not to vote for another traitor.
I guess, but it is like messy AF. Like, I don't know why none of those people watched Traitors before they were on this show, because like or watch any other like harder, like, I shouldn't say hardcore. I should say I don't know, like strategic type of competition show, because you really want to vote as a group, or at least with your people. It's literally being like, you said my name, I'm voting for you. You said my name, I'm voting for you, which is like it's like a non-vote. It's like you didn't even vote at all, which is like a little annoying to watch. Well, that's why these votes were so low.
Why are you on the show? Like there's like 45 contestants, and these people get voted off with like 4 or 5 votes.
True
because
that.
Everyone else like, I don't know, just the person next to me. I don't want to be mean.
Yeah, ding ding. That's true.
Okay,
very much so.
We should say at this banishment, because those guys just got out of the cage, Wes and Derek and Rob, they weren't allowed to vote. They were only allowed to watch.
That's right. And then after banishment, they get on their bros helping bros. Shield talk, yeah.
Okay, so they get that, and then what happens? Like is it that the gals go to the turret, and then we see Rob slowly walking up, being like, I'm gonna go in there and kill the other traitors. Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yes, and then the episode actually ends before he comes in. So we open up in episode 3 with its traitors getting the big reveal that Boston Rob, is also a traitor.
Oh, they are not happy about that.
No, nobody wants Rob to be a fucking traitor. They don't want Rob in there at all.
This is when Bob the drag queen comments on the backwards baseball cap.
I love it.
And it's like, you got to get rid of that hat. And he's like, I've been rocking this since 1985, man.
And Bob's like, doesn't mean it's good or whatever he said, you know, which I love.
So he's in the castle. Who do they decide to murder? Is it Ian?
The second murder is Chanel Ion. Yeah, Ion.
Oh, yeah.
So she gets murdered second.
Okay. And then what happens before the stupid clown challenge? We hear that the Bambies exist. I was just informed. I just got it in my ear. A producer told me that Chriselle refers to her partner as her husband, which I didn't realize.
That's cute. You know, also G Flip said something cute. God, they were talking because they're non-binary. They're talking to their dad, who they're Australian also. And their dad came up with a cool term that I've never heard before on how to refer to them. Their Australian dad was like, well, I don't want to call you my daughter. I don't want to call you my son. You're a non-binary person. So I'm going to call you my Dawson.
Oh.
Which I thought was so cute.
That's really cute.
So I totally tracks on the same Dawson thread that G Flip is a husband.
A husband and a Dawson.
And a Dawson.
These things couldn't sound more Australian.
I know, especially in that accent. I will say at the breakfast table, we have a really funny quote from Robin because they are all reacting to Chanel Ion being murdered, right? So now it's like, oh, there's a housewife hunter. That's like a real big, everyone's just on one. Who's killing the housewives? Dolores is pissed. Robin is pissed. And Robin says, y'all really have a hard on for us, which I loved.
I love that too.
Yeah, I love it. And then you get a really funny talking head from Carolyn. And Carolyn just said, like, you know, I'm just trying to be a turd on the wall. And hopefully this turd will get to at the end.
Have you ever heard that term?
I died. I loved it. I loved it.
She reminds me of, there's like an SNL sketch with Kristen Wiig as like a really sexy lady. And she's like, ooh. And then she farts and it's like so loud and nasty. That's what Carolyn showing up with her long blonde hair and being like, I'm just trying to be a turd on the wall here, you know?
I'm just trying to be a turd. Hopefully this turd gets to the end. I love it. Lou told me about something that they were listening to with Bob, and Bob had a funny story about Carolyn, which was in the castle. Bob asked if Carolyn had children, and what he heard is Carolyn said, my son is dead. And Bob felt horrible and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to bring that up. And it was very like, I'm, you know, apologetic and emotional. And then they walked away, and somebody else, I can't remember who it was like, are you okay? Like, what's up? And Bob's like, I asked her, I just like made some comment about us not having children. And I just didn't realize that her son was dead. I think it was Dolores. And Dolores said, no, she said her son was 10.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
And I was like, this is a perfect capsule of these two.
Just also the idea of you telling someone your son is 10 and they're like, I'm so sorry.
I know. And I was like, what did Carolyn? And also Carolyn probably was like, well, I don't know, whatever you're freaking out about, which I loved.
Yeah. So, okay. So then what happens? Oh, we learn about the Bambies here, which is 3 girls with big eyes. Wait, is Nikki's not part of the Bambies, right? Who?
Yeah, Nikki's a Bambi.
Okay, because Nikki's like, we're kind of a threesome. Am I allowed to say that? A threesome.
Yeah.
And then we hear maybe Gabby being like, we're called the Bambies because we're 3 girls with the big eyes.
It's true. I love them. I really love Gabby. She's my number one. So
who's the third? Is it Gabby, Nikki, and Chriselle?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of actually all like the queer and queer coded women. I don't know what Nikki's deal is, but she seems like
yes. Yeah, I mean, she's a female wrestler, right? So
she's tough.
That kind of equals lesbian.
She seems like the butch in that group.
I know, but none of those people are very butch, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's just like a high femme princess-a-thon, and I think it's so cute. Can't get enough.
So we learn about the Bambies, and then what's anything else happen at breakfast?
Yeah, Jeremy's the first to kind of pick up on Danielle being like, what's up with her? She's acting weird. She's very sus. He's kind of holding it for a minute, but later on he will be sharing that with other people and putting her name out there. Um, Robin's thinking about Tony, possibly. Efron's thinking about Bob the drag queen. Uh, Efron also kind of talks about that in front of Boston Rob, and Boston Rob is totally silent about that. He just takes in the information, doesn't say anything to redirect around Bob the drag queen. So that's him also just throwing his fellow traitor under the bus. And that was before he ever even thinks that Bob may or may not have said his name out there anywhere. So he just already is not showing up for his fellow traitors. So we're seeing kind of his character right here.
Yeah. But then later he blames it on Bob having come for him first. Please.
Yeah, also don't use, you know what? Guess what, straighties? You can't be using any queer language. If it originates in any sort of queer, LGBTQ, etc. context, you can't be using that. So don't say come for me, dickhole.
Oh, yeah. No. So at some point, Bob the drag queen's name does get floated by Dylan Efron around Jeremy.
That's early. Yes.
And the ginger guy. And Jeremy basically immediately runs over to Bob.
The ginger guy. Wes. Yeah.
Wes.
Yes.
Well, so there's like these three men together and they're like, I play a game called Not Me. I don't give a fuck. And then, Jeremy runs over and tells Bob, and Bob is livid. When anyone floats his name, Bob's like chilled traitor conduct is just being like, I'm coming for them. I'm going to rip them a new one. So Bob just like runs out of the room with his glitter lotion on his face.
Yeah. Well, he's glitter lotion because they went to the mission earlier. But I will say he's playing too hard. He's too defensive. You got to like, the more defensive you are, the more it looks like you're a fucking traitor in this game. He should not be going over there and marching up to and be like, why are you saying my name, motherfucker? That is what you would do on Drag Race. You would not be doing on this program. Okay.
No.
This has got to be, you got to be chill and just be like, whatever, nothing that you say has legs. I'm not a fucking traitor. Like, you want to don't vote another faithful. Like, that's on you guys. Like, that's what I would do. I would just be like, that's ridiculous. Let's talk about somebody who actually matters. I would downplay my game as much as humanly possible.
Yeah. Well, so can we talk about the challenge this episode?
Yeah, the challenge.
The mission. Okay, so they did this. I don't. All right. The season of UK, there was scary clowns and scary dolls. I think those are tired. I'm tired. Oh my God. I'm tired of people saying, you know what's interesting about me? I like my toilet paper over or under, and I don't like clowns, and that's my personality. I'm like, that's not a personality.
No.
Like, who cares?
Who cares? This was the dumbest mission of all time. I'm sorry.
So in this mission, they're all paired up. They're all paired up. And then what they're supposed to do is, like, as a pair, they have a balloon and they go through a scary, spooky carnival house where they have to go through a door. Then they have to choose from a row of doors. And as they're choosing the door, they have to narrate it. They can't narrate it in a simple, straightforward way of third door from the left. They have to narrate it by describing some symbols and colors on the door. And everybody finds this very difficult. So hard for them because each door has a different pattern. And how could they possibly describe that pattern to their fellows? So they'll be like, we're going through the door with the diamonds on it. And every door has diamonds on it. And then they go through the door. And if it's the right door, they can keep going towards money and another round. But if it's the wrong door, a scary, spooky clown comes out and stabs their balloon and they scream and we never hear from them again.
And glitter goes all over their faces, etc. Also, there's a shield at the end. If you go all the way through, there's a potential for a shield. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's the mission would have been like pretty straightforward. Let's figure this out. I don't know why they can't narrate the doors in a more straightforward way. I understand not saying directionally, but like large diamonds read by the handle. What's wrong with that? Like, I don't get it. Small diamonds with gold border. It's like not that hard.
Because they did the exact same thing on UK. They also didn't. Everybody was frustrated. Like, why don't they just say the third door from the left? And it was like, okay, obviously they're not allowed to do that.
Obviously, yeah.
There's some instructions we weren't given that production was like, you have to say these three words. So basically, like, I mean, what happens? Oh, Tony gets browbeat into going first.
I mean, they were out there for so long. The sun has changed position. They arrived, it was sunny. By this time they're finally going in, it is downpour on them. They have probably wasted so much time figuring out who's going to go first. Because obviously, if you go in first, you're never going to make it through the shield. Whoever goes last has the best possibility of making it to the shield and then winning the whole group some money. So first is like you're just a sacrificial lamb. Actually, probably the first half are sacrificial lambs.
Because the odds are not in your favor that you're going to choose.
Odds are not in your favor.
Say there's like 16 doors in total, and you have to choose the one right door for each round.
That's right. And there's four rounds, 4 doors each round. So
I think so. Yeah.
You're never going to make it to the end so nobody wants to go first. And it's like, Bob saying, again, we can't get like the men to step up again. This is the divide between like the alpha male kind of like bro dudes that are there and literally everybody else. And Robin's pissed. Bob is pissed. Bob H gets into it with Tony. It's like, it's a lot going on. Everyone doesn't want to go first. Eventually Tony takes one for the team, but it is a lot of back and forth in the rain. And I just was like, this whole thing, it's just like painful. Fast forward a little bit.
Oh my God. I hope somebody, if they didn't get fired that day, they got a talking to. I know. Because in fact, this batch of traitors did not finish the mission.
They sure didn't.
So after they sent Tony, and who was Tony's partner?
Danielle or somebody. I can't remember.
Tony and his partner he gets browbeaten into going first. Of course, they're eliminated like on the first try.
Yeah.
No. And it's on and on and on. There's just like, because people aren't paying attention. So somebody will have said like, they will have described the second door, and then you hear your colleagues going in and being like, maybe it's this one, the second door. And then everyone on the outside is like, no, like these people are just so discombobulated or like self-focused that they can't like hear each other well enough to work together as a team. They can't bring it together as a team is what we're seeing so far.
Yeah,
to actually
very much so.
Have anything happen for the missions that doesn't have to do with just them.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, it was painful overall. I mean, Alan, nobody liked what was happening.
No, and so they didn't get through, which is not something that really happens on the Traitors.
Mm-hmm.
Like production generally rigs it, or something happens where like the time elapsed gets changed. So like, guess what? At the last minute, they did it. And this time there was somehow just no way of even pretending that was going to happen. And they had been out there for so long that it was just done.
Yeah.
You just failed a mission.
You failed. Nobody got a shield. The whole thing was like a waste of time.
Which also like for production, like they're like mapping out the narrative of how this show's going to go. It's like, okay, so somebody gets the shield, and then this is the drama that it goes with that. And this, and and so for no one to get a shield.
And like, no money to be accrued.
And no money for the prize pot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get back. What happens before roundtable?
We get back, and this is where a lot of people are talking. This is where the Bob blow up happens. Also, everyone is blowing up on everybody else in this way, or sneaking around talking about somebody else in this way, and everyone is also covered in glitter. So you'll see everybody. I mean, it shows up. He's got gold glitter on his beautiful skin, and it's just like glistening everywhere. But everybody's covered in glitter, especially the men. I feel like the women were like, kind of like either rubbing it in or like kind of getting it off their face or something. The men are just like dripping in glitter. Obviously Bob loves glitter, so maybe he just was like, let's add some more, who cares. But this is when Bob is playing too hard. Danielle really trusts Bob, says that Bob's her ride or die, and also knows and from Bob that Jeremy has said her name. So that's something that's happening as well. The Bambis are protecting all the gays.
Mm-hmm.
Which we like. They're like, don't come for Bob H. Don't come for Bob the drag queen, which I think is lovely. Love the Bambis. But it's a lot of, kind of running around as far as who to vote for that night. And then, this episode, we go to the roundtable right away, and then we have some things after the roundtable. So the roundtable happens. Dylan starts.
Who does Dylan vote for?
Right out the bag with Bob the drag queen.
Oh, this is what Bob comes for him?
This is where Bob comes for him at the round table too. Yeah.
Is this when Bob says that Zac Efron is a bad actor? He's like, you're a bad actor, just like your brother.
Yes.
And then somebody else is like, ouch, I think your brother's a good actor.
Does he want to give me a call sometime? Yeah. Yes. It's just too hard. They're going after each other. It's obvious. No one really chimes in. It's just like a Bob versus Efron brawl.
And yet somehow Tony gets brought up.
Gabby. That's our girl Gabby. Because she's perceptive and smart. Do not underestimate my Gabby. She gets brought up and she's like, you know who I really have some, not great feelings about and who I've noticed who's pretty suspicious is Tony. She also doesn't like that he's won Survivor twice and he's also a cop and could be a very convincing liar. So
Yeah.
Tony gets brought up. More people kind of are saying, all right, maybe it's this. The whole thing kind of turns where we don't know who's going to be voted for, but in the end, it is Tony.
And Rob casts a vote for Tony.
That's right.
Who he gave a shield to just the day before. And so when Tony goes up there for his banishment, he kind of starts crying. And as he's leaving after telling them he's a faithful, he looks at Rob and he says, "You're a sellout, bro."
That's right. That's right. I mean, these two they're cut from the same cloth. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tony, he's like, I don't want nothing to do with Boston Rob for a while. So yes.
Yeah. So, but Rob seems to have taken that a little personally. It seems like that dinged his armor. Like he still is like going to be who he is, but it seems like he didn't like being called a sellout by his fellow Survivor alpha male.
Yeah, he wants to kind of also he doesn't fly under the radar anyway. He's the one of the like, I'm going to take a leadership role, but he's trying to kind of blend in with the castle crowd. And because he just got there and he's trying to do his way, but it's not really working. And this is just showing more of his character, and he doesn't want that. He doesn't want people thinking that he's a sellout. Also, it's just shining a light on him, and I know he doesn't like that. He wants to be able to kind of get a little further before he's noticed as being a leader.
Yeah. So, okay, so when they leave the round table, everyone's upset, and then there's an extra special mission for the traitors.
Yeah.
Traitors have to go behind a secret bookcase and write down 3 names without being noticed. Write down 3 names of people they want to put in coffins, and a traitor could be among those 3 names. Where do they have to write it?
Okay, here's a question. Did production say they all have to go into the room at the same fucking time?
I don't know, but you know who actually like can't find the bookcase is Carolyn.
Of course. Carolyn is like, no one gave me the memo. If you don't go over to Carolyn and say bookcase now, she's not going to go to the bookcase. Okay. So to think also that she would know that they're in a hidden bookcase, I don't know. Nobody gave the PA didn't tell her. Nobody's telling her. Okay.
She's sprinting back and forth, looking like a crazy person. Like she's just sprinting because everyone's like stationed in their room, so they're all noticing who's coming in, who's leaving, and she just keeps walking in and out, walking in and out.
Yes. And doesn't, she's getting annoyed because it does look suspicious what she's doing. So I get it, what she's talking about.
So everyone's in the bookcase, and then the other faithful or whoever's not in the bookcase are like, wow, the castle seems really empty. And so the show, this could be this creative editing, it could be real, but people kind of start walking around being like, where is everybody?
Yeah. And what I've also noticed is there's probably a camera crew in that bar. So like when people are walking by, they're like, there's a camera crew, but there's no cast members in here. See what I'm saying? Because they're filming audio from the outside. You could hear sometimes when they're talking in the hidden bookcase. It is a double-walled thing. So, but you have some loud people in there. So it is, some people like Robin comes in, kind of thinks she hears something and then walks out. Also, there's the fucking camera crew in there without another person. So it's a lot of suspicious things. They're supposed to write names on a scroll and put it into an RIP kind of coffin on like, it looks like a Michael or like a Home Goods Halloween sale in this room. So that's where they're supposed to put it. But Carolyn finally finds them and they're able to talk about who they want to put in there. And everyone has a different idea. And we see yet again the traitors just are not very united and they're having a hard time kind of like getting a good direction. So
the the chemistry of the traitors is bad. Because
It's
before,
bad. It's
when
bad.
it was the two gals and the gay, that made sense.
Yes. Yeah.
It was the kooky gal, the put together
Yeah.
gal, and the gay.
Agree.
And then
now you've really thrown this spanner in the works. Yeah.
But yeah, adding like straight ass Boston Rob with no sense
Ugh.
of humor who just wants to dominate everybody.
Yeah.
Just messes
Yuck.
with everything.
Yeah. You were like at like we got like a cute little dog park hangout. We got a little chihuahua, maybe like a little pomshy like Ponyo. We got a little cute little dog like mine, a little cockapoo vibes. And we got like maybe like a long haired dachshund. And then here comes like a German shepherd in to like fuck it up. That's the vibe. You know,
Yeah.
It's not good. He's not good vibes.
Or not even a German shepherd, like a border collie.
Oh, good idea, border collie. Obsessed. Although
like he's like everyone else is like, well, I don't know, let's just work together and see what happens. He's like, I've got the ball. I'm gonna go herd these things. Like
we're doing this.
We're doing this. And everyone's like, what? But he's like kind of aggro. And anyway.
Yeah, agree.
So then, okay, so Gabby walks in the bar and she's kind of like, I feel like I hear something because no one's being quiet. Everyone's screaming. Who did they choose to put in the coffins?
They chose Ciara.
Mm-hmm.
They chose Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the third person they chose?
Who knows? Somebody else.
I can't remember, I'll be honest.
Some lady. So
we don't see that until the next episode.
So don't even worry about it.
We don't worry about it.
We'll figure it out by then. But Gabby's in there and the Gabby's like, huh. And then the bookcase just swings open and Carolyn and Danielle come galloping out screaming. Like Carolyn has her arms over her head. Is like, woohoo.
Yeah.
And Gabby, does she see them or does she just hear them? Because she kind of ducks out of the way.
Well, the episode ends where Gabby is kind of turning back to go back into the room where the camera is and where she just heard something and then heard a louder thing, which there were no people there 5 seconds ago. So where are the people? So it's just a little bit too obvious, I think. But the episode does end and you don't know if Gabby sees them or not.
I see.
We know because we have watched episode 4, but we don't know. Cliffhanger.
Anything could have happened.
Anything could have happened.
On this same season of UK, they had the same thing to do, but they had to write the names of the people on a painting that was posted in the bar. And they had to do that without getting caught. And of course, the show, through creative editing, made it seem like it was down to the wire of people walking up to the bar as the person was putting the final pen stroke to write the name of the damned on a painting of 3 skeletons in a lake.
Oh my God. You know, I will say I really liked last season when Parvati had to pour someone a drink and have them drink out of this special chalice. That means they're murdered. I loved that. I thought that was very cool.
Those things give me so much anxiety.
Yeah, I'm just like, ew. But the writing their names, that seems hard actually. How were they able just to kind of do it on the fly when no one was looking? Or are there other people in the room?
There was less traitors. There was only like 2 or 3.
Okay.
And none of them were loose cannons. And so they just had a quick talk. And then one of them's like, you keep watch over the door to the bar. And while no one was in there, they did it really quick.
That's called cooperation. And that's not happening on this show.
That's absolutely not happening on this show.
It's definitely not happening.
Okay. I mean, I can't ask you for predictions because we've already watched ahead. But do you have any other final notes about these 2 episodes? Mm-hmm. Like what? I kind of want to know what it would be like if you were a traitor, what your gameplay would be. Do you have any tips for the traitors going forward? Is there anything else you would do or wish would happen?
I mean, I understand Bob's strategy of like basically creating chaos, but that's kind of not my way. I would go after people who are leaders. I would. And I might keep like Efron in the game because he can be framed. He's been a really, squeaky wheel. I think that could easily be framed somewhere else. I wouldn't murder people like Sam or Ivar that don't really do shit. Or Bob H, honestly.
I think Sam could be a great goat.
Sam would be too. He's an awesome goat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I would probably, at this point, because, we're now at this moment and we've only murdered 2 women, 2 housewives. I would probably mix that up and I would go after a big dog like Jeremy, because you just got Tony out, and it might, but actually it would just frame Carolyn because she's the only survivor person.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would try to, I guess the new guys can't be voted for. I might get Brittany, but Danielle doesn't want to do that because she was on Big Brother with her. But I would go for other people. At this point, it's really hard to murder because you can't murder the 3 guys.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, it's just like, it's a challenging murder right now.
Why can't they can't murder the 3 guys yet?
Not yet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I don't ever think that the like let's create chaos in the castle works or does a thing. Yeah. I don't think it does it. Like the reasons people murder are we're framing somebody, it's a leader, too many people talk to them, or we're creating chaos. And I think out of those, creating chaos is the weakest reason to murder somebody. Yeah,
I agree. And I don't think like, I don't think Ion was I think it was a wasted murder, honestly. I probably would have went after, I mean, I love Gabby, but if I was a traitor and she was a faithful, she's somebody who people like. She's kind of a leader of the Bambis. Like, you might want to target somebody like that who does have some good theories.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I said, Brittany, I would definitely get out because she's a Big Brother player and could be really cutthroat, and I would definitely get rid of her.
Yeah. I agree with you. God, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else I would. I think I would keep Sam Asghari to the end.
Definitely.
I guess you can't trust Tom Sandoval. So otherwise I would say bring him to the end because he doesn't know anything and you could easily trick him into going after people as your attack dog.
Yeah, Tom doesn't, nobody trusts him. Nobody values his opinion. So it's kind of like he is the ultimate goat in that way, except for he's annoying as fuck. And doesn't really bring as much as like people like Sam at the challenge, who's like a ripped guy. You need to be doing stuff like, physical. You would want Sam on your team. Tom is like going through withdrawals or something on the show and is like sweating profusely and is like not a fun person to watch.
Okay, so I would keep Sam around. That's my +1. Do you have any other +1s you would bring to the end?
Well, at this point, I would bring Bob to the end, but I would counsel him on how to be better. I mean, if I'm in there, Carolyn would be my girl because I have watched her season. I know what she's capable of. Her and Gabby would be my number 1 and number 2 for sure. So that would be the first people I would beeline for to make alliances with and try to vote together. Now, if Carolyn is a traitor, and if I'm a traitor with Carolyn, obviously be voting with Carolyn. I would try to really rule that game. I wish Carolyn had somebody in the turret who was like down with her. That would be cool. It's not going to happen.
I'm surprised that Rob isn't secretly with her as 2 survivors.
Rob's just too misogynist, I think, to be down with any woman. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
He likes to use women in reality TV. He likes to kind of like keep a harem of girls who will also vote with him, and he'll be like the provider. He does a lot of that like patriarchal kind of vibes on his Survivor seasons. And he is a great player. He's also great at living in the jungle and is a great person to provide for other people. So people will be like, "Oh, well, Boss and Rob will build me somewhere to sleep. I'm going to vote with him, or he's going to provide me food every day because he's a good fisher person or whatever." And so that's kind of how he's gotten far in a lot of those seasons.
It's so interesting to see how that goes on Traitors because no spoilers, but yet another challenge comes up where everyone's doing it, every man for himself, even though it's a great opportunity in the next episode for them to make alliances.
Yeah.
And like help each other out during the mission. Once again, this group is too selfish and just all like take advantage of each other's labor to get themselves ahead. And no pun intended. I drop what's happening next. But yeah, it's interesting to see how opposite this is from Survivor.
Agree.
Well, Beau, I'm really going to be way more tapped in for episodes 4 and 5 because now I know all these episodes I sped through before I realized we were recapping them. I sped through them. I just like speed ate them. And now I'm ready to slow down and really savor.
Yeah, you want to have a little bit of a couple course meal here.
And things actually start happening next episode.
That's usually kind of, I mean, a lot of times on Traitors, I love like really when it gets to the meat, like when we're in like the middle of the episodes all the way to the end. The first few are kind of like a trim the fat kind of vibe, This one is sad because some people went home that I would like to actually watch on television, but overall, so far, we're doing okay.
Yeah. And just so you know, if I was a traitor, people just, again, would vote me out immediately just because they think I'm up to something, even if I'm not up to something. And that's just how it's gone every time I played Mafia for my entire life, except for maybe one time.
Oh, really? I did not know that about you.
I have to be the host of Mafia because otherwise I'll get killed immediately. And even if I tell them I'm a faithful, they still kind of feel like they did the right thing by getting rid of me.
Oh my God. It's that Capricorn, I can tell.
I thought it was a Sagittarius.
You're not leaning into your Sagittarian charm. This is your hard ass boss bitch Capricorn, okay?
Yeah.
You got to lean into your party girl. Whatever, man. I'm not. Of course, I'm faithful. I've never played Mafia, but that's what I think you would have to do.
Thank you. Well, no, for me, people are like, she's up to something. My vibe is she's up to something, and we don't know what it is, but we have to get rid of her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would never vote you out, Ovs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I might if we had to for the game.
I mean, we have played Murder Mystery before. I don't think I've that's a little more simple, but I don't believe that I've ever been against you.
Thank you. I think you would be great on Traitors.
Thank you.
But we need to have this disclosure and conversation. Like because there's sometimes a part at the end where you have to take a faithful to the end and look them in the eyes and be like, come on, let's put our green pouches in the fire. Let's take this money home together. And then they look you in the eyes and they're like, I'm a faithful. And you? And you have to be like, sorry, bitch.
Well,
I was a traitor.
Hopefully people have watched season 1. If you haven't, of US, if you haven't, spoiler alert, but the person who went to the end, Sari, who's also one of the greatest horror players of all time, she
brought a civilian with her.
She sure did. And she just was like, this is it. It's our time to shine. And she said, psych, no thanks. It's all my money. And I was really proud of her because on Survivor, she let a lot of other people like Parvati take, like, she's kind of known as the Black Widow, but actually it was a lot of those plans were actually Sari's plans. So that's one thing I want her to kind of like be. This is like her pinnacle of gameplay. And I thought she was fucking awesome. I would have no problem.
That person never forgave her.
Well, I mean, that's a hard one. I don't know. It would be hard for me not to split it because I would feel really like, this person needs it too. But I mean, nothing is as cutthroat as I believe that Australian season 1.
Which one? Were the guy who was the
lesbian doing IVF?
The lesbian doing IVF took money away from the guy whose brother killed himself with a special needs child who had been the Australian kept in captivity for the longest as a hostage.
Yeah, he was like a prisoner of war or something.
He was a prisoner of war who was currently, but like he had told her, because I read afterwards about it, he had private conversations that were saying like, I have a kid with a severe disability and I will be using this money to get my kid a guide dog or like something very noble.
It was a lot, like especially for like medical care. Like this is like his number one motivation. Yeah.
And she was like, okay. And like she and her like Instagram girlfriend just wanted to get knocked up. And then
they were like, I get it. IVF is expensive. No shade to that. I understand. It is very out of reach for a lot of different people. But you really got to be like, fuck you, fuck your drag, bye-bye. Sorry, you and your special needs child. Oh God, that would be really hard.
Well, I mean, the good news, listeners, if you're listening to us being like, my God, is that guy used his notoriety from the show to have a GoFundMe to help support his kid. And people really did come out for him.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing. Hopefully he made more than what the prize pot was.
I don't know if he did, but he definitely got his kid a guide dog.
That's good. I'm glad.
Beau, thanks for joining me for the podcast again.
My pleasure.
It's so fun to have a reason to watch the Traitors.
You know what? We would watch it anyway, Nicole, just so you know.
I know. I mean, I may have clicked it off as soon as I saw that Boston Rob was part of this situation.
I probably could have convinced you to keep watching just to talk about it with me.
I think so.
But now we have a whole audience, and thanks for listening, listeners.
Thanks for listening, listeners. Beau, where can people find you? How can they support your work and your life?
Please support my work. I am a queer and trans person just making candles here in Portland, Oregon. If you want to order a magical candle, let me tell you, we need them now more than ever. Please buy a candle. MagicHourCandles.com. You can even message me if you want some recommendations. It is tough times for all small businesses right now, especially with the added weight of being a LGBTQ person in this administration, we need to support some small businesses. Don't shop at Target.
Don't shop at Target.
Shop from us.
Get a nice candle.
Get a nice candle. You're not going to regret it. They're beautiful. Also, give one for a gift. I have really cute wrapping paper.
You have incredible packaging.
Thank you.
You're quite professional. So
thank you so much.
Get Beau's candles at magichourcandles.com. Thanks, Beau.